start going live with things. Hey everyone! Yeah, it has been a hot minute, but we are finally back to this, just shy of All-Star Weekend. So lots of things have happened since we have last got back together. So we're going to try to get up as much as we can right now. But as usual, we have Jade Auxiliary Things Johnson. How has your NBA life been for these past few weeks?
You know what? It's been pretty good. Mostly because I've been watching more games that aren't the Raptors having, kind of up and down season. It's basketball in general right now is so entertaining across the board. Like the only truly terrible team right now in the league is the Rockets. Even the other teams that are at the bottoms of standings are still playing entertaining, challenging, close games. Like there are no easy wins unless you're playing the Rockets.
Detroit's been stealing some games lately,
right? Like there's not a single team that hasn't had that ability at some point this season to go on a bit of a run and get a few games. Except for the Raptors, I think we've only won 3 in a row like one time. But we're still like in, I think, 12th or something today. But like, yeah, just there's so much. Like the Kings are good. The Cavaliers are good. Orlando's fun to watch. Like I can't remember ever being at this point coming up to All-Star and looking at NBA games and being like, yeah, I'd watch all of these.
That's now NBA. I wish I would have done the NBA League Pass now, because now all of the games would be like, yeah.
At a certain point in the season, they offer the rest of the season for like 50% off or something.
After All-Star Weekend, they're just like,
is that when it is?
Yeah, I think it's something like that. But because they do midway point of the season with it all. But anywho, and we got on the other side, we got Shay watches NBA. Shay at Shay's watches NBA. I always get it wrong.
I know, it's hard.
No,
it's hard. It is.
No, it's
because
not.
You get it wrong every time.
Exactly. I always want to continue say, because I always want to say, yeah. Anywho, but so have you been able to keep up with both teams, either teams? Like, are you?
I mean,
for either one.
I've been keeping up with both because like OKC went on that winning streak. So, and I know, like, look, I'm not someone who's going to be like, oh, they won 100% because they deserved it every time. There was definitely teams that were resting players during some of those games that kind of were taking it as a known loss, but then they were still going up against some really great teams and really great players and walking away with a W and having incredible gameplay that was being displayed. So I, of course, had to watch some of that. Of course, since I don't have League Pass, I was watching a lot via either like live updates, where they just like word update it, and then watching the replays the next day, which is fine. I have been trying to watch some of the Nets stuff, but like, honestly, I'm at the point, and I'm a drama queen. I love drama. I love it. It keeps my life interesting. I'm tired of the Nets drama. It's the same thing again and again. We'll get into this anyway. So it's just like frustrating, but it is fun to always see what celebrities are at the Nets games. So that's something.
Last game was Selena Gomez and
Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B.
Really?
Jordan.
There was a Michael B. sighting.
Yeah, he hosted SNL last weekend.
Oh, nice.
That is a beautiful man right there.
Right?
Beautiful man. I will give him that.
The goat of manhood. Because he's Michael Jordan. Okay, that was a bad joke. Sorry.
Okay, so now that we've gotten that little intros back at it, today we are gathered here today to talk about the crazy hot tight of the Western Conference. And then we got some of the Atlanta drama that was a couple weeks ago, but we're going to pop to it because that's going to be ongoing till pretty much the rest of the year going into the off season, considering with coaching and stuff. And then we're going to wrap up with the refs suck this year. So we're going to break down all of that, figure out what are big issues. And of course, the usual, we got the fantasy minute with Jade, and then we got the Twitter time with Shay. So, and don't forget to follow us at Hardcourt Honeys on Instagram and at Hardcourt Honeys on Twitter. And same thing on YouTube and Facebook with it all. So start off. Wild, Wild West.
Literally.
Shay, is it going to be like this for the rest of the season?
I mean, for the team's like sanity, I hope not. Because like right now, I can't believe that it's so tight, like literally from third place down. Like what?
Yeah.
Okay, down to the Spurs, but you know, like.
No, yeah, I like. So we got set up here. Just be right now. There are one game separating the 5th seed to the 10th seed, and that's Warriors, Mavericks, Suns, Pelicans, Wolves, Jazz, and your Thunder are sniffing that area with 2 games behind them. So, yeah, we got a tight race right there from 4 to 11 even. But Jade, so one of the teams that of late is the Pels, and they've gone 1 of 9 of the last 10. Are we going to see this free fall still from the Pels, or do you think that they're going to be able to come out of it?
Well, I think what we see from the Pels and what we've seen from the Pelicans since Zion was drafted is that when he's healthy, they play well. He's never consistently healthy.
Exactly.
He hasn't been consistently healthy since before he was in the NBA. And how many years are we going to go with the same thing before we realize this boy's body was not made for basketball, which, by the way, I was saying in his rookie season.
I was saying that in high school.
Like, and it's not a knock on his weight or his body or
exactly
his fitness. That's not what it's about. He is dense and he is heavy, and jumping is hard on your joints.
And he's not tall either, necessarily.
Right. So, like, there's nothing to, like, make up for all of the force he's exerting on his ankles and his knees just by doing the things that basketball requires your body to do.
If he's the current day Charles Barkley.
If all is said and done and we look back at another 5 years and go like, yeah, Zion was a bust, we finally say it, at least he made a lot of money and didn't have to destroy his body playing football.
I mean, he's going to have a Kenny Smith kind of walk with his knee where you're like, there's something wrong with it. Definitely something happened to you. You got into a motorcycle accident or something.
I mean, depending on how many years he can actually play. Like, I understand the interest and like this once in a lifetime talent. I get all of that, but at a certain point, you have to be like, maybe it's not going to happen. Like, at what point do you decide we've given it as much time as we can?
Exactly.
And Shay, do you think the time has come where they just have to figure out if they're the odd one out of everything since it's so close?
I definitely think so. I mean, also, I just feel like right now it's just not a good situation to put all their money on something that's possibly not going to last. And at this point, again, like we've been saying this same kind of thing since he's been drafted. And now it's like we have so much evidence that backs that up that we're just kind of like, I want the Pels to be relevant. I do. I think the hard part about the Pelicans in general is they're in New Orleans. They're in a area that is like very sports heavy with football. They have the potential to have a really great fan base, but yet they've been unable to capture that because they don't have a team that's consistent. And
Mhm.
I really do think that if they got a consistent team, they would be able to bring in that same passion that they have for the Saints there, that they have for LSU into their arena. And like, you know, I just
Plus,
want that.
the arena's called Smoothie King.
Yes.
Get on that level. Get on that
Really.
strawberry banana level. You know you would buy one.
Every
You'd get the big 24 one so you could get a free refill next time.
listen, I love me a smoothie.
I
Okay.
do too.
You-
But every time I hear the name of that as a stadium, I just think, what a joke.
Oh, that definitely. No, the new joke though is the Lakers arena, crypto.com.
I'm still mad about that.
It's Staples Center. It's like how I treat the Mall of America. It's Camp Snoopy. It's not Nickelodeon Universe. It's forever Camp
Right.
Snoopy.
Like,
It's Staples Center.
Listen, before we move too far away from Zion, I just want to put this into context for people. Sorry. Okay, so he was drafted in 2019. All the way back in 2019 already.
2019.
He missed his first season because he was injured. He made his debut January 22nd, 2020. So in technically 4 seasons in the NBA, there are 328 games. He's played 114.
His next contract will be heavy on the injury.
yeah.
It has to, like,
Will
you
be
can't take him on if you don't. Like, just to put it into context, like, because sometimes it feels like we get talking about things that we've been stuck on for a long time, and we know the information, but like,
No,
we should
that's
back it up with some stats. All my stats from basketballreference.com for anybody who is interested in that. But yeah,
That's
114 games. Like, that's you can't pay money that he keeps demanding in his short stints of being healthy. You can't keep paying that kind of money for those kind of numbers.
no.
He's a good kid too, so I do want him to succeed with it all. Like he's not a bad guy, but I mean, CJ McCollum's been a solid head for that team through it all. No matter what's been going on, he's been the consistent leader. So,
And that harkens back to another one of our HCH things we always talked about when CJ was still in Portland.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like, they cancel each other out. Why would you extend in Portland? You can't play that couldn't be clearer that that's exactly what he needed than what he's been able to do in with the Pelicans. Like, I don't know that people understood that he could do that.
Right.
well, it's because I mean, Dame Lil,
You're playing behind Dame, like,
right? Yeah, that I'll talk about later with the Timber when we talk about our teams. But so we all love the Kings. We've already said that. We're all like pushing for them. At least for this year, we're pushing for them. They have a strong hold at third in the West. Jade, is this going to be the feel-good story of the year?
man, I really hope so. It would make me really happy if it is. In terms of how they've been playing and how they've gotten to this point in the season, the thing that I think I see about the Kings that we didn't see with the Jazz, who started off really hot, with the Suns, who have been at the top of the West and have fallen, is that the Kings seem to have worked their way up through the season. And that, to me, with a basketball team is always the way I want to see progress happen. When it kind of happens in a flash at the beginning of a season with a new roster, I'm always a little bit suspect, because it's rare that happens like that and it's sustainable. Like, basketball teams have to mesh and learn to, work together and play together. And, the best basketball teams spend time together outside of playing basketball, and that takes time. So I think the Kings I would be surprised if the Kings fall out of 5th
Well,
by the end of the season. The way they've been going. But again, with everything being so tight in the West, anything could happen.
they do seem like a close set of dudes.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I could see a lot of some kind of card game night. But so Shay, if the Kings stick with this, at least 5th being the lowest, does Mike Brown deserve Coach of the Year?
Oh yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
guess because I want to hear it.
Yeah, no, because again, the Kings have been one of those teams for a while where at the beginning of the season we have hope for them that they're going to break out of being part of the bottom tier. And this is the season where we're actually believing that that could be possible. So if they continue to push forward, I think this is like a really good showcase of good coaching, because we've known that they have that potential, but we have not seen it be able to reach to that point. So now that we're seeing that, it's evident. It's evident that it's the coaching. Like, it's evident that that's what it is.
Well, along with the moves that they made, they have the right people there now.
Who would have thought that Sabonis Halliburton trade was going to end up like how it is? Granted, both teams have benefited from it.
It was one of those rare win-win situations in trades in the NBA.
Yeah, Pacers were supposed to fall apart with Sabonis going down. Then it was supposed to be Miles Turner going, and then Buddy Hield going. But now Turner's just signed an extension, and
he
then
got a bag.
He did, which good for him too. So Sabonis is gonna make the All-Star game regardless. De'Aaron Fox has put his blood, sweat, and tears into this franchise.
He's so good.
Does he? So and right now, he's showing that he was just not a good player on a bad team, so he looked better. He is still showing that I am still a good player on even a great team.
Right.
Yeah. Is he able to sneak in as an all-star reserve this year, Jade? I'm going to ask you this too, Shay, in a second, but I want to hear you, Jade.
I really hope so. As you were leading up to this, I've been thinking about it because I kind of knew where you were going, and I worry that the Kings might suffer from kind of a reverse thing of like the MVP fatigue that people might be seeing with Jokic, whereas they've just been so bad and so irrelevant for so long. Is anybody paying enough attention to appreciate what's going on? Because like while Shay was talking, I was looking up the last 4 seasons, starting with the previous season and working backward, they finished 12th, 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 and 9th in the West. So like they've been just utterly irrelevant for at least the past 5 seasons, and I think it's been a lot longer than that. I didn't go further than that. So I worry that people are going to see, the Clippers with a better record and their superstars, and the Thunder with the better record and all of their young talent, and the Jazz and the different teams that are ahead we're used to being ahead of the Kings, is what I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like those are the teams that everybody knows. Again, one of the things close to our hearts is small market teams, and
this is like the smallest of markets,
right?
This is
so who's paying enough attention to Sacramento to make sure that happens. I think they both deserve it. I'll be really surprised if it happens.
Which it bums me out thinking about over the years. They've had some solid players go into that team, and it just has never worked out.
I don't understand why they have why not have 3, instead of having starters and bench, a basketball roster is 15 guys. Why can't we have 15 guys for All-Star?
Yeah, that would make sense.
The precedent is literally set in the rules of the NBA. So, and because it's frustrating, because even as much as I dislike Embiid, You know when I'm saying things like this, you know what I'm about to say. Embiid does deserve to be an all-star, and he's he's played well enough to be an all-star. The only thing keeping him out of it is an arbitrary rule that we're only going to have 2 sets of front courts and 2 sets of back courts. Or they should go positionless because the NBA is practically there anyways.
I was
kind
about
of
to
what
say
they did
that.
for a little bit. It was just they ended up doing 3 front court players, 2 back court players.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like, let's just put everyone that deserves to be there.
Like,
I
really, it's an all-star game, and there's more talent in the league than ever. What better time could there be to expand on what this idea of all-star is?
I mean, the rookie sophomore game, Rising Stars game
Rising
we just
Stars,
saw
yeah.
earlier today. That's also going to include, if I read correctly, is going to include G League players now too.
Oh,
NBA can pick up because a lot of the G League players are like, we have Timberwolves guy. His name is Luca Garza. Everyone in the fan base loves him. He should be on an NBA team. I'm not saying like getting minutes and stuff like that, but we have him on a 2-way contract.
Mhm.
No, he should be on a roster. He's already leading vote getter for the G League, and then he's also leading for MVP for G League.
Nice.
So, but whatever on that. I think I want to switch over to now. Got the fantasy minute now with Jade. What have you got going for us today?
Home teams. We're calling it home
teams,
teams
my
now.
Home
So it's been since week 7 because all of our lives have been chaos. So first of all, cheers to us for
Cheers
getting
to us.
through this crap. And we're still getting through the crap, but for like finally finding a day where one of us wasn't having something that had to be dealt with. So welcome back. Let's start with Taylor. It's been a hot minute since we got caught up on our home teams. What's been going on in Minnesota?
Since the new year has started, I think we're 11-5.
All right.
Maybe 12-5. Like, we've had some like, I went to the Grizzlies game on Friday last week because it was rivalry week.
I forgot you got
yeah.
those tickets.
So right behind the opponent's bench, about 12 rows up, was probably the best seats I've ever had my entire life. My buddy Nathan and I, we were freaking out, and I'm looking at him, and I was like, no way do my parents love me this much. No way do they love me this much. But the game, I haven't seen that much energy in the Target Center in forever. And so right now, D'Lo and Edwards, they're one of the best backcourt duos. I think they're like top 5 in the league right now. So, and then we have McDaniels, who is the first player in the league who just got the 50-plus point or 50-plus blocks and 50-plus steals. Jade, you'd love McDaniels. He's like our OG, or OG.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was either looking at him or I might have picked him up on one of my fantasy leagues. Speaking of, wow, while you're talking, I'm just gonna set my lineups because it's like 5:30 and I haven't done that.
Gotcha.
I'm totally still listening.
No, yeah. And I do have a conspiracy theory on. So Cat's not happy with the team too much right now because they've never given him a proper timetable with his calf strain. They first said like it was grade 2. Well, that's 4 to 6 week process. It's been past that.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, is this a grade 3 then actually? So he's not too happy with that. He's annoyed with Ant's dieting and how open he is with it because Ant just came out saying that he eats. Hopefully it's an hyperbole of it, but exaggeration of it. But he says at least 3 bags of like Flamin' Hot Cheeto fries a day.
Oh no.
The guy that already has it, like his like Popeyes and everything after a game, which like I get you're 21 and everything, but you got to
But
get
like
it
you're also a professional athlete.
exactly. And Kat
Right.
has called him out on it before, and that didn't go over well at all.
Okay, so while we're talking about Kat, because you and I have had this conversation on WhatsApp, so let's share it. Because I asked you a few weeks back, because I've been thinking it's starting to feel to me like maybe it would be in everybody's best interest for Kat to move on. And I know it's an unpopular opinion, especially with the fan base, but I'm starting to feel like Kat's outgrown a team who is still trying to find an identity. He found his the last few seasons.
Oh, the
And
fan base wants him gone.
oh, really?
We're all set to build around Ant. That's why we're
Mhm.
we're still kind of bugged by the Rudy trade. But those few picks, like those are supposed to be Ant's years anyways. So we don't need to have more young stars. We have the young star here. McDaniels is also like untouchable for us. Our G League team's great. But
I was right.
if
I
we
did pick up McDaniels, by the way.
if we did trade Cat, we could get some solid players back, and we could get picks back too.
Yep.
I
You
had
would you
an
would need
idea.
to demand picks.
Yes.
Sorry, guys.
Um. Uh. I might have to grab my charger in a second. But I was thinking Dallas, they need that second player. Christian Wood and Spencer Dinwiddie and some like a pick or two or whatever for Cat. I think that's pretty solid. Christian Wood plays a lesser version of Cat. He's a big man that can still step out. He can rebound. He doesn't require the ball.
The thing I
But
question for Wood is the way he's been playing. Is Minnesota going to want to pay him what he might be looking for?
he's already got the contract.
That's fair.
With
How long?
Allen.
What? How long? How much? How long does he have left on his contract with?
That I'd have to check for sure. But it was just okay, we'd get our point guard situation also figured out with our backup with Dinwiddie. Or even, yeah, or else maybe even switch D'Lo to bench and then Dinwiddie start, whatever at that. But we'd get that point guard that we need, and then we could maybe get some picks out. Also, Cat's a center. We've been saying before, like when he was playing center, like, oh yeah, he's a power forward. We've seen this year, he's not a power forward. He is a center still. So, and he's trying to get used to it, and it's not going that well. And I don't give, I'm not, I don't try, I'm not trying to rip on him that much for it, but because learning a whole new position is different, but at the same time, we're putting you in the exact same spots as you usually would. So, but whatever. Shea's got two teams.
well, we still got to talk about your upcoming week with the Timberwolves.
Oh, that's
so
right.
you've got 3 games. Golden's your home, all 3 games. No road games this week. To Golden State Wednesday, Orlando Friday, and Denver Sunday.
Two and one.
And which are your win? Which is your loss?
Orlando's for sure.
Yep.
I got Golden State. I think
Golden State's the loss.
Oh, no, is the win. Golden State or Orlando. Those are the ones.
Oh, yeah, no, that's fair. With I forgot Denver was your third option.
Denver is number one in the West right now. Like no one's touching. Even the second place, Memphis half. So
yeah,
like Jokic is. I don't want him to win MVP, but he kind of is MVP.
I don't see how you can make any good argument for him not to win it right now. And I feel like we said the same thing this time last year
We
when,
did.
he had already had one under his belt. And the next year we're like, is he going to get back to back? It only happens so often. But like, how can you not? And the crazy thing about it this year is all of his help is back healthy. And he is
His nose is
still
still
keeping
red.
himself in that conversation. Like, that is nuts.
And he's played like almost every game.
Yeah, he's always available. All right, moving on to the Nets. Brooklyn drama. Actually, we were talking about this. I don't know. Maybe there's more local drama going on, but there certainly isn't enough Nets drama that I'm seeing it every single day on
That's
my
true.
Twitter or TV,
That's
as
true.
was the case very recently.
I think the fact that it's just like Katie's out again,
Yeah.
like Ben Simmons is like doing only like half of what I feel like Ben Simmons can do. You know what I mean? Like there's just like it just feels like the same old, same old. So while it's not the same like intensity, it just is old. So I'm like, can we just get basketball playing? Like,
Yeah.
I think that would be really nice. And I mean, again, it's not like they've completely been doing horrible. I will say, like the loss to the Thunder, which originally I was going to go to that game, kind of forgot about it.
Man, I would love to be so close to where basketball is played that I can just like forget I was going to go to the game because it's right there. I'm
Right?
so jealous of
Well,
that.
and originally, because me and Anthony are such big Russ fans, we wanted to go see the Lakers last night. But because it's about to be LeBron hitting that new point goal, like
The
record.
tickets skyrocketed.
Oh my God, the
Yes.
cheapest tickets. Usually you can get into Barclays, get a decent ticket for like $30 each. Like where,
Wow.
even if it's like
My
you're like,
mind just exploded. You can't see a Raptors game for less than $200.
what?
Almost anywhere. It's taxes too. It's a lot of taxes.
I guess Canada. Y'all,
In Ontario, in Ontario, we're one of the highest tax places on the planet in Ontario.
I was gonna say, right now, the Timberwolves, they're like, here's $5 ticket night.
Yeah.
We
Like
show
that
up
one. Oh my.
for the love of God.
well, so I wasn't about to pay like I think for the nosebleeds it was like $300, and I was like, I don't even care about seeing LeBron. I know that sounds bad. I'm like, I just want to see Russ.
We have to catch Taylor up because he looks completely like.
I know. So, like,
I was looking for my charger.
I forgot about the Thunder Nets game, which the Thunder ended up winning. And then Jade was like, I'm so jealous that you live so close to where you can just like forget that a basketball game is
Oh
happening.
no, I
'cause,
heard all of that. I was just
Okay.
walking around.
So yeah, like we couldn't go to the Lakers game because the closer you get to that LeBron record breaking, the worse the tickets are, just like everywhere.
They're gonna be exorbitant.
Yeah, because everyone wants to be at that game, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'll clap for him. Good job. I'm not gonna like hate the guy, but that's not even why I wanted to go see the Lakers.
Imagine being the only person who goes to see the Lakers, not to see LeBron James.
I know. So that was disappointing. I mean, Anthony and I are going to try to hit a game soon, and we've been like eyeing some. But again, with everyone kind of being so good, it's hard to decide which game we want to go to. But
Right.
nonetheless, like the Nets, despite them being who they are, like they're not doing bad. I think that Thunder loss was random. I wasn't expecting it. They've had they beat the Lakers last night. They beat the Knicks, who surprised. I guess the Pistons, they lost to the Pistons, which again, we talked about that. I surprised Detroit. So overall, I'm just like, okay, like we don't know what's going on with the Nets ever. And I guess it's just, you've come to accept it. You've come to accept they are what they are.
And they're never healthy, never full squad.
That's the most frustrating part is like, because again, we want to go to a game, but also I don't necessarily want to go if KD's not playing, because he's, as much as like he annoys me sometimes, he's also an incredible basketball player. Like
Yeah.
he's one of the best in the world. You don't want to go to a game if one of the best players in the entire world is on the bench. Like that doesn't,
Yeah.
that's not fun. So, you know, I'm kind of waiting that one out before we go see a game, which again, it's like, yeah, I know I only live 2 miles away from Barclays, but I also don't have a car. So that's a 5-minute commute.
Ugh, gross. New York City. That sounds terrible.
All right, so this week, Nets also have 3 games. You've got the Celtics. You're at the Celtics tomorrow, and then home against the Wizards Saturday, and home against the Clippers on Monday.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and say loss at the Celtics.
Yeah.
Mostly because we've already lost to the Celtics recently. The Celtics are doing good, even if their refs are, I know we're gonna get into that, are crooked. But also being in Boston plays a lot of dynamics into New York teams going there. So that's gonna be a loss. We better win against the Wizards at home.
Baston.
And I'm gonna say we beat the Clippers. I know the Clippers are getting better and figuring their stuff out, but I would like that to be a win. So we're gonna call
at the end of the day, they are still the Clippers,
right?
Like we have about a 75% chance that Kawhi's not even going to be playing.
That's
so,
true.
Like I feel like you have to call the Clippers the most underperforming team since Kawhi went back there,
right?
Yeah,
So
I would take Lob City team than this team.
Yeah, at least that team was fun to watch. Clippers games are not. I don't find them engaging at all.
No.
Like,
and it's sad when you have Paul George and Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's still something about it isn't like it should be exciting, but it's not. It's not really fun. I don't know what it is. With the Clippers.
And they're in 4th in the West, so it's like you would think that they're in a good position to be a good, fun team, but it's not. They're so forgettable.
They were like 6th or 7th seed like 2 days ago. So that's how crazy the West is right now.
That is crazy. I do want to talk about that a little bit because like I know how close it is because I look at it, but in our WhatsApp chat yesterday or the day before, Taylor said to me, we were 5th this morning.
Yeah, we were 5th at night, and then we lost, or 5th in the morning, we lost, and then we were 9th.
After one loss. Like
we had 2 games above 500. That put us like 4th or 5th seed. Now we're just 1 game above 500. Now
like even like the Nuggets aren't safe on top. There's no this time of year usually we can start to get a little bit of a picture of where things might settle within a spot or 2 or 3 as we're approaching the All-Star break. And we can't do that at all for any playoff or play-in position in the West.
Like Nuggets have like a few bad games in a row. They could lose that real quick.
Like they're only 2 ahead of the Grizz, 5.5 of the Kings, 7.5 of the Clippers. Right? Like all it takes is a 3-game losing streak for the Nuggets and a 3-game winning streak for the Grizzlies, Kings, or Clippers, and the whole top 4 has changed.
Yep.
Just like it's madness. But we will go on to the Raptors. So we're still having an up and down season. We're putting together flashes of like really great end-to-end complete games. We owned the Blazers in this year, beat them both of our games. And one of the things that has been hurting the Raptors is we have one of the least friendly schedules of any team this season, just by looking at it. When we played the Trailblazers this past week, we played them on the second night of a back-to-back on the road. We played Golden State the night before. Both Clay and Steph played. The Blazers had not played since Tuesday. They had been home resting since Wednesday. And I think we played that game maybe actually I have it open here. Why am I guessing? That is silly. Raptors schedule. So we played that game on the weekend on Saturday. The Trailblazers have been home resting since Wednesday, but we played them on the second night of a back-to-back on the road. Like, how is that fair?
The league.
How is that fair?
Like, the refs, the league, we all know that some stuff's going down right now.
Stuff's going down. And like, listen, I get that everybody's schedule is hard. It's an 82-game season. It's a lot of travel. I get that. But you can't tell me that it's too hard to bring a little bit more parity back. Like, if you're playing on a back-to-back on the second night, the other team should be on a back-to-back on their second night. And I know that's not always. I know that's not always. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I know you go. Sorry.
Oh, I know that's not always going to be possible with scheduling, but like to have a team rest Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to play Saturday night against a team that had to travel we're on a 7-game road trip right now. 7 games. Who else has had a 7-game road trip?
That's ridiculous.
7 west and all the way out west.
That's like being out of town basically for 2 weeks.
Right.
That's so long.
So that's been a factor. Injuries obviously have been a factor. They're starting to get more consistency with people being available, kind of. OG's out again. OG's always injured. I love the guy, but Sarah's forced me to face the reality that we might not be able to keep him because he's just not. It's going to be a Zion Williamson kind of thing, where it's like, at what point is he not healthy enough, often enough, for the kind of money he's going to demand? Because there is a lot of interest, from other teams. So there's that going on. Raptors fans, our fan base was so much savvier before the championship as a whole. It's been making me so sad this year because I talked to all of these people who are Raptors fans who are just like, Masai needs to do something right now. We need to fire Nick Nurse. We need to blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like what do you guys know nothing about your organization, like, at all? Do you know nothing at all? This is not how things are done in Toronto. And not because it's not how they're done, because they won't work. It won't work. It doesn't work on other teams.
Right.
Like, it hasn't worked for anybody that's been trying to do that ever since LeBron started team jumping for championships. How many teams have tried to replicate it since then, and it doesn't work? It would have even less chance of working when we're the red-headed stepchild of the NBA outside of the US.
The one NBA team outside.
The one NBA team outside the US. Like, and it's so crazy. Sorry?
At least you're able to keep your team.
For sure. Like, for sure. But like,
Vancouver.
Dealing with fans of other teams, like, fans of other basketball teams fundamentally think because we are Raptors fans, we don't know anything about basketball. Like, that is the stance. So it's always so hard to try and have a balanced conversation about what's going on with the team. My stance is always going to be, as long as we have Masai Ujiri, who is the most sought after front office person in all of sports, whatever. It's going to take as long as it takes, but we're going to get there eventually.
I have to keep on telling Timberwolves fans that we're not getting Freddie.
No, that's never happening.
No, you're not.
That's never happening.
We're going to trade him. We're going to get Freddie. And I keep on telling them, I was just like, it's not going to happen.
Who do they think they're going to trade for Fred?
D'Lo.
No.
Yeah. No, I am just like, I keep on telling people every single time it brings up on a fan page I'm a part of. literally every single time. Like, it's not happening. Freddie is like the heart and soul of that squad. Am I right?
I don't know if that's as true as it used to be. He's having a really hard season, shooting especially. He just can't seem to find, like, he's not Freddie right now. And because he's not Freddie, that other part of it is also kind of not there. Like, he doesn't have the thing to the level that Kyle Lowry did, where if Kyle Lowry wasn't shooting well, he was still Kyle Lowry, and you still felt his presence in a game.
That's a future Hall of Famer right there.
Right. But like, that's what people, well, I put it that way because since we saw them play together and basically Kyle brought Freddie up as our fan base, we have those expectations of Fred that I don't think are fair. But just because that relationship was so close, and obviously Kyle was his mentor from the time he's been in the league till the time he left, there's this expectation. But Fred's not the same person fundamentally as a human being. He's not the same player. But the thing that I'm talking about in terms of Fred is that he doesn't seem to be fitting well into this positionless 6'5" and taller, long wingspan thing that they're doing. And there doesn't seem to be a clearly defined role for him right now because the offense runs through Scotty a lot of the time when he's playing well. He runs the point just as well. He's a different kind of player. But because of that, it seems like they haven't decided, is Freddie going to play off the ball and catch and shoot? Is he going to run the offense? When is he going to run the offense? How is it going to work in all the different switches when basically he can be on the floor with four other guys? He's only 6 feet tall. And he can be on the floor with four other guys that are 6'5", 6'6", 6'7". And it just doesn't seem like they figured out how they're going to work Fred's play style, which is what we've kept him around for, into what's happening with Scotty and Koloko, and Precious Achiuwa is playing amazing and kind of that thing. So
such exotic names. And then
right?
You have Freddie and Scotty.
Yeah. You're right.
Pascal Siakam, a newbie.
Yeah,
Right.
you know which front office guy is from Africa.
What?
You know which front office has the guy from Africa when you get that many of those names. Oh, and also crazy, Christian Koloko is from the same little town that Pascal Siakam was from in Cameroon, which is madness. But anyways,
That
side
is
note.
weird.
Or
Like,
Isn't it
they do their
weird?
ancestry.com and they're like, they're only like 3 families away from each other. They're like, oh, like we're fourth cousins, I guess.
Well, and
Oh.
there's another one of those things. I feel like maybe Maxi Kleba, somebody is from the same town as Dirk, which is also a tiny little town.
that's weird.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I love him too. You should want a player like him on your team.
I've really liked him since the first time I saw him play. He's one of those guys that I was just like, yeah,
He knows his
that's
role.
my kind of basketball. Yeah.
He knows his role.
All right, so we do this when we haven't been together in a while, right? So
Right.
Yeah,
let
I
me
was
wrap
about to say-
up.
I was about to say we might want to swing over, even though the
We
East
are.
is pretty quiet over the past few weeks. Like I said, there's still that Atlanta that's gonna be hovering around for the rest of the year.
Yes.
So-
All right. Well, I went on my rant
Oh,
about
yeah,
being on the
sorry.
road. So I'm just gonna say we got the Jazz on Wednesday, the Rockets Friday, the Grizz on Sunday. I'm gonna be optimistic. I'm gonna say we beat the Jazz and the Rockets and we lose to the Grizzlies.
I think that's fair.
That's my week.
Yeah.
So we all went 2-1 this week.
yeah.
We sneak a win with Memphis because the Shannon Sharp incident. They think they've won once since then.
Yeah, it's so weird. Some of the stat news is so fun for making me think about random things that maybe you wouldn't think are connected, but maybe are they? Could they be?
I wonder how much alcohol Shannon Sharp had that night already.
Man,
He was crunk, but so, yeah. So Atlanta, So Trae Young has had 3 coaches. Yes, 3
Yeah.
coaches since he's came to the NBA. Is he a coach killer, Jade?
It's funny that it wasn't a thing I thought about until we put the questions for the show together, or we've been talking about it, I guess, for a couple of weeks since kind of the drama started coming out, and it sounds like there's drama going on in Atlanta, which kind of makes sense considering they should probably have a better record than they do.
Right?
So ever since Taylor mentioned it in our chat, it kind of feels like one of those things that now that you've said it, I kind of can't see it any other way, because like, and it also comes down to a thing where there's just something about Trae Young that is off-putting to me.
Sorry,
And
Jade.
it's the kind of
I get it now. I'm not gonna lie, I get it now.
Sorry, girl.
And it's the kind of thing to me energetically that makes me wonder if he's going to win things or if that's not something that's getting in his way. This, especially, somebody called him out about the idea that embracing being the villain was the wrong move in the last couple of weeks. I can't remember who it was, some former player, I think. Sorry?
Kendrick Perkins.
No, it wasn't Bert. I can't remember who it was, but I saw that and I kind of thought, yeah, maybe. Like, I don't know. I don't know that he is a villain. So maybe the embracing the idea of this villain persona is disingenuous, and now that's why it's not working. I don't know, but something there always just feels off.
He doesn't have the demeanor of a villain. Like a person that I think that could be a villain, Ja. I could see him becoming a villain.
Ja's got that like anime charismatic follow me anti-hero thing going on. If he wanted to. Yeah, I can see that.
Like I could see him being a villain eventually. Just because of the intensity he has. But no, Trae is experiencing the hot Atlanta life a little bit too much. Maybe he needs some chicken wings first.
Well, and
maybe he needed. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I know we're both like little. We're like he also like is now engaged in a dad. You would usually when NBA players do that. I know there's been a couple of cases that we know where they go wild, but usually that has them step up in a different way. And we've literally seen the opposite with Trae Young.
Yeah. And I think that's because the guys that I think obviously spring to mind would be Giannis and Fred VanVleet. Those guys are themselves. They're not like, there's no persona about them in their basketball world. They're themselves. They play basketball. And it just feels like maybe he's not being himself, and that is getting in his way, because like that takes energy to put on a persona and to maintain a persona. It takes energy.
Yeah, that's true.
That energy has to come from somewhere else. So like, what else is about it? Is it the way he's a teammate where that energy maybe should be going? Is it the way that he plays? Is there something else that energy of that persona should be going to that would make him and his team potentially more successful?
That should be a top 3 team in the East. I'm sorry. Like that should be that starting lineup. I'm sorry.
They're and to watch them play, they look like, okay, why aren't they winning more games? Like, and I don't get to see them play a ton because, Hawks are not one of the teams that my local channels pick up. I get a lot of Grizz games. I get a lot of Nets games, Knicks games, stuff like that. But when I do get the chance to see them, it's obvious they're talented, but it just doesn't feel cohesive. Like it
bunch of players play together.
Yes. Here's some pieces. Y'all make it work.
You have 2 all-stars, one guy that has been borderline all-star, and then you have one of had a very solid center with Capella, who I've always
Yeah.
been a fan of,
Mhm.
who I originally wanted before the Rudy situation. Literally 2 minutes before that trade happened, I said that's what I wanted, was give us Clint Capella. He's at a cheaper deal. He's roughly the same. But no, yeah, the Atlanta, and then they also got Murray with it all. Shay, should they keep Trey and try to adjust, or should they just change the entire team up and start moving? Because every other player, it almost feels like, is on the trading block for them.
I personally would not keep Trey at this point because he seems to be the issue.
Ooh.
I mean, ultimately,
Take.
and I think that's a big issue. We've talked before about the issue with superstars, or the talent, as they sometimes like to be called, being the ones that cannot lead. And
Yeah.
that's what we have in this situation. That long term will be bad. That's not a good investment. Because you not only have where you can't, like, yeah, no! It's not only where they can't lead, it's also that he is a diva. That diva attitude, like if he was someone like more like KD, who has matured a little bit more and is like, I don't really want to be a leader, but like I still am going to give it my all.
Just want to hoop.
Right, I just want to hoop. That's kind of where KD's at.
Which is so crazy because I literally just was thinking the other day, man, Katie's really like simmered down.
He really has.
And even the stuff I see on his social media is like either like, yeah, okay, or it's really like entertaining.
Yeah.
It's not burner account anymore.
Yes. It's just like, okay, there's a person I can actually see a person here now. This is nice.
Well, and he like Shaq tweeted out his the stuff he's achieved over the years, and even KD on Twitter was like tweeting, "Congrats, man." I'm just like, this is not the KD we saw in like 2016. You know,
no burner accounts anymore.
Oh, I kind of missed that though. I won't lie. That was funny. That
of course
was so
you
funny.
do.
It was a good time. If you like the tea like Shay, it was a good time.
It was a good time.
Of course you did.
When all of the internet was like, wait a second, is this KD behind his own fan accounts? And 100% it was.
I mean, that's how you do it the
was.
best. So Jade so Atlanta, they added DeJounte Murray. Gosh, I wish I could talk today. They added him this year thinking that, they're going to be a great duo, Trey and him together. Has that not panned out, or like they thought, or is this just more so this team is a mess anyways?
Yeah, like the Hawks are one of those weird teams that like sometimes you have a team that hovers in the middle of things for a few seasons and you can't quite figure out why. They're not the bottom, they're not the top, they're never like, we don't really expect much of them in the playoffs. And we haven't really had a team like that in a hot minute, but it feels in the East, but it feels like that's the Hawks right now, where they're just kind of, Indiana was for a while. Back when we first started the show, Indiana was that team.
Yep.
And now it seems like it's the Hawks, where it's just kind of like, you've got talent, you've got decent coaching, you've got superstar level, number one option. What's the problem?
Yeah. Nate McMillan is one of the best defensive coaches, and then you have one of the best offensive players in the league. You think something would come together.
You'd think something would come together. And I don't know. I personally think when you said that maybe Trey's living a little bit too much of that Atlanta lifestyle, I think there might be something to that. I think he is too good of a player for the organization to hold him accountable.
Oh, yeah.
He needs to be in a better organization with a better identity and a better culture so that somebody can hold him accountable and be like, dude, like this whole villain thing, like just have a real talk conversation with him and be like, look, this is not how we do things here. Like that would never fly in Toronto. Not that I think Trey Young's ever going to play in Toronto. I'm just saying as an example. There are some organizations in the league that is not going to be an accepted way of behaving, regardless of what your name is. Miami is another one that comes to mind.
Right. And those are because not only is that the culture that was already kind of established prior, the coaches that are there at this moment would never allow that.
Yeah. And it probably seems harmless.
Yeah.
Like when you look at it, it seems harmless, but I always come back to this thing that energy is being spent to maintain a persona, could be spent on his game, could be spent on his teammates, could be spent on things that I think would be a better investment of that energy than this whole I'm gonna be the villain thing.
Exactly.
I think whenever a player gets that high and mighty on their horse, they need to go to whatever team is NBA purgatory at that moment. Really humble them real quick, being like, "Oh, no one cares about me anymore." Like when Blake Griffin,
Yeah.
everyone's like, "Oh, bye."
Yeah. Which I didn't know where Blake Griffin was playing until I was watching.
Clippers were like, "Where did he go?"
That happened to us too.
I was like, "Wait, he's on the Celtics?"
He's on the Celtics.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. He might win a ring. He might win a ring. Boston's my favorite to win the whole thing this year.
And they're good. I don't like admitting that, but
I don't like admitting it either, but like watching them, and not only are they good, but they're the kind of basketball team that I like.
Yeah.
Which it almost hurts me to say it out loud. I was talking to a Raptors fan this week. He's like, "You can't say that." I'm like, "Listen, I do a streaming show. I have to be objective. It is what it is. I don't love saying it. I don't love saying it, but it's true." And I would love to see Blake Griffin win a ring. I wouldn't be mad if this Boston team won. I think they put in the work. I think they deserve it.
Tatum's top 3 MVP, and he plays like this for the rest of the year. I got him winning it then.
Right?
But that isn't Atlanta. But
it is the East, though, so we are still on topic.
An ongoing story for the rest of the season. So I think at this point we can swing it over to Shay for her Twitter moment.
Whoop, whoop. Let me put it on. It's ready. Don't worry. Don't even worry, guys. I am prepared. If I just sometimes feel like
Shay prepares herself for it. This is a segment that where Shay finds some of her favorite Twitter moments, and she gives it to me and Jade, and we laugh.
Yeah, that's the greatest. I have so many tabs. There's the tab. Okay, this is oh my god. From Eddie Radosevich at Ready Rado, legit LOL at this mom sign. Hey Steph, mind your manners, keep your mouthpiece in your mouth. And Lord have mercy, I have said this since the moment Steph Curry became a person on my radar.
Yes, it is the most off-putting thing about Steph Curry is chewing on that dang mouthpiece.
It's so gross. And of course, if you didn't notice, this isn't OKC, so this is an Oklahoma mom who said, keep it in your mouth.
I was going to say, I saw the sign, and then I looked down and saw who was holding it, and obviously her friend sitting beside her, and I thought, this is such a mom moment.
Right? I'm like, oh, Lord, my childhood is coming back to me, like, because I had a mouth guard for soccer, and I think that's why I have this thing is because I've been told so many times, keep it in your dang mouth.
Yeah.
You keep it in your mouth.
But on the other hand, if you had to be told to keep it in your mouth all the time, that must have naturally wanted to do exactly what Steph Curry's doing.
Exactly. I mean, I get it.
It's going to be punk rock.
Go away. That is not punk rock. I've never seen a mouthpiece being chewed on at a punk rock show.
Hey, you're going against you're with the counterculture right now. Yeah, punk rock with it.
Whatever you think. So yeah, that literally made me laugh. My second one is I know we've featured her before, but by Molly Morrison. NBA referees releasing the most dramatic social media apology of the year is not what I had on my 2023 bingo card. I cannot stop laughing. And it is a screenshot of the NBA referees, official NBA referees account. Like everyone else, referees make mistakes. We made one at the end of last night's game, and that is gut-wrenching for us. This play will weigh heavily and cause sleepless nights as we strive to be the best referees we can.
Who wrote this?
What a bunch of dorks. What a bunch of dorks.
Like,
so dramatic.
Why is it so dramatic? This is a professional situation.
It is gutless. What?
Sleepless nights?
But here's the other thing about it. And I think this is part of why it just feels so like this is not the way the NBA releases statements.
No.
Right? When the NBA releases statements, it's a screenshot of the letterhead of the NBA thing. It's always the same.
Yes.
So I think for me, because it's coming from the NBA referees' Twitter, which, let's face it, nobody ever talks about this account. I know it exists. I follow it. I never see their tweets.
I forgot it.
I never go looking to see, because mostly it's just them tweeting who's officiating what game. Like it's a nothing account, which is why this apology, quote unquote, from this account that has no significance whatsoever, even if it has followers. Like, does anybody pay attention to this account? I don't think so. You do.
You would. You literally would. You would. You were like sitting there through Jade's entire thing too, and you were like, I literally do.
Well, I don't know what to say.
No, I know all this stuff because on a couple of the NBA fan pages I'm on, that's what that's another suspect thing that they talk about. They're like, "What the heck's this all about?" And being like, "I don't know." They had Stephen King write for them with that one.
So of course, I don't know if you guys have been on Twitter a lot, but like the refs is the main conversation on NBA Twitter right now. So of course, I had a second NBA tweet about the refs. So we have from SSB Burner, whoever you are, you're verified. And
all $8.
All $8 worth.
That's true. I've thought about it. I'm not gonna lie, I've thought about it. Anyway. Just to like look cool, and then people would like click on it and be like, Twitter blue, gross. Anyway, I wish Adam Silver had, as they shared in the reply, had a beeping Twitter, bruh, cause this some bull beep refs issue. I only beep it in case youngins want to ever listen.
I think I follow that guy.
Yeah, I do too. So this is so my question out of this is, if Adam Silver had a Twitter,
oh gosh,
what would you tweet at him?
Adam Silver, I already have a plan to fix the dunk contest and your refereeing issue. Give me a job. That's what I would tweet.
And TJ?
Bro.
Is that the whole tweet? Because it's perfect.
Yeah, that is. Bro.
So I'm gonna be taking this video, sending it to Adam Silver, and saying, this is our campaign for you to get a Twitter. I don't even know what I would tweet at him. Bro. I would probably just be like, I would do, you know how Trae Young tweets every morning, like the same tweet where he's like, I don't even remember what he says, and he says it every day, but it's basically like, it's a good day. I would like start by waking up every day and tweeting Adam Silver good morning, just so that like there would be a consistent tweet to Adam Silver that tells him good morning and reminds him that I exist.
You're like, oh no, here's the same psychopath that tweets me every morning in a legit fashion. So I'm kind of worrying about this person. Like you're asking me like if it's a therapy session, how I am right now. I don't like.
Oh man.
Oh, y'all. So that's the tweets I had. I mean, I was trying to find more, but honestly, it was just a whole bunch of ref tweets because there was a lot of ref conversation going on.
Because they can't do.
Exactly. Exactly.
Perfect segue into our last topic of the day, which is the refs can't do nothing right. So it kind of
Nothing.
has started with, or it's gotten real big off of the Lakers Celtics game as they missed a big call. I will admit, Jason Tatum following LeBron, he did get fouled. The next day, like instantly, the ref that missed it, Eric Lewis, was like, I'm so sorry. I can't believe this. But since 2020, when Eric Lewis has reffed Celtics games, Celtics are 36-2. And now there's been pictures arising on social media of him and his family being diehard Celtics fans.
Yep.
Okay. Jade, NBA apologizes for this stuff. Does it even matter?
Well, first of all, did the NBA apologize or did the NBA referee Twitter account apologize?
That I'd have to.
That's a good point.
Right there, that difference to me matters, right? Like the referees have their own union and stuff. Like they're a separate entity that is employed. They're like, I consider them almost kind of like private contractors, even though they work within the NBA's rules. Like it's a weird relationship, but like the Players Association, they have their own like representation and all that stuff. So I don't really feel like the league has apologized. I don't feel like the league has done enough about refereeing. And we're going on multiple seasons now. And every year we're having the same conversation. And that conversation is, we have never heard so much bitching about the refereeing. We said it last year. And it is more this year.
Yep.
And it's a couple of things. It's not just the missed calls. Man, those refs are handing out texts like it is candy at a parade. Like, for nothing. For nothing.
Yeah.
Like, you can't look at a ref the wrong way in the wrong moment, or they're going to give you a tech. Like, these are the best in the world at this sport. It's their whole lives. They're competitive. They're dudes. It's a lot of testosterone. They need to be able to say their piece.
Right?
Like there shouldn't be a tech the first time unless a player says one of the magic words or one of the, we know where that line is.
Or like Patrick Beverley walking out with the camera. That was a lot. But it was funny. It was so funny. Oh my gosh.
Golden. It was golden.
But like, how can they be? And I don't know if I saw a tweet that said, who's softer, the players or the refs now?
That's one of the questions I was going to ask.
Oh, that was you. Sorry. I'm sorry. I can't remember where I see things.
I feel that.
And it gets all
let's just go to that one right now. Who's softer, the refs or the players? Jade, give me your take.
The refs. For sure.
Refs, yeah.
I think it's because so many of them are new. Like, this kind of really started snowballing a few years ago where multiple veteran officials retired in the offseason, the same offseason. And we had all of these new green officials coming in. And that's only part of the problem. The other part of the problem is that the game is too fast for 3 sets of eyes.
Right. No,
like,
that's 100%.
It is a different game than it was in the 80s and the 90s when they caught most things. Also, they were calling less because look how they played basketball in the 80s and 90s. Now, the contact is lower. The ball moves faster. There's more scoring, screening, all these kinds of dynamic offensive things are part of the game now, that it has outpaced what is an archaic system of refereeing. They've done some little minor tweaks here and there. It's not enough. They need to overhaul the whole thing, or we're going to be on our way to being the NFL, who can have no integrity in their referees whatsoever because they don't even employ them full time.
They don't have integrity for anything there.
Well, we know that. But like,
That's
I
horrible.
like when the NBA keeps distancing itself from football, which it has in a lot of ways, but this is like we need to catch up the refereeing to the game we are playing now. It's not adequate.
Also, 80s and 90s basketball, all half court offense.
Yes.
You're taking the ball up the court. Nowadays, it's back to what the late 2000 Suns rule which was 8 seconds or less, essentially.
Yeah.
You get the ball, we're pushing it up, we're passing it around real quick, and then we're putting up a shot, regardless where it's at. They didn't do that in the 90s and the 80s and stuff.
Right.
I'm not saying that's different or better, good.
No, it's better. It's a fundamental difference that
yes,
our current system is not keeping up with. You didn't have to pay attention unless it was the end of the game and they were playing full court press because they needed that steal to change the game. You didn't have to pay attention to anything that happened in the backcourt.
Yep. Like, and then having giant players too that can now run. Like, Cat runs like a gazelle down the court.
Yeah.
He flies down the court.
That's such an underrated point because the big men were not mobile.
No,
No.
When Anthony Davis is healthy, dude, fastest big man in the league.
Giannis up and down the court.
Oh my God, yes. How many of those players can grab the rebound, take the ball up the court, and beat 3-4 of the other players down the court?
It was unheard of. Nobody did that.
You didn't see Patrick Ewing doing that.
No.
Shaquille O'Neal, even in Orlando, like, I wouldn't want him taking the ball up the court.
No.
Like,
ever.
There were times in Orlando where, like, yeah, he'd power through, but, like, I don't want that still. Other players, though, like, okay, yeah, Jokic too, but, like, Giannis, like, yeah, you take the ball up the court. You got that rebound, no one's going to stop you.
Yeah. And it shouldn't be that complicated. The game has changed this much. It should be obvious that the things that manage the game need to change in step with that. And they're way behind.
Just everything about them is it. Shay, should there be like a fine system for the refs? I'm not saying like $5,000 like they do with NBA players, or $25,000, but just like, oh, you get a $500 fine because, like, when the NBA comes out at the end of the game after games, it's like, sorry, we missed the call, and it's like, well, that doesn't change anything.
Yeah,
Right.
The outcome of the game is still going to be the same. So, Shay, should they be getting a fine of some sort or a suspension or anything like that?
I was going to say a suspension because I don't know if a fine, because I know they're NBA refs, so they probably make more than I ever will. But like I do think in the same way that if I mess up repeatedly at a job, I would be suspended.
At least
if I didn't lose my job.
The first time.
Right.
So it's like with technicals. Once they get so many technicals, they get suspended. With a ref,
exactly.
You get 5 crucial missed calls, you're suspended for a game or two. Like,
and here's how I would do it overall too. I would set up a base pay based on the job. You are an NBA ref. You've been here for this amount of years. At the end of the season, you get graded on all the games you officiated. What did you miss? What did you get right? And whatever your grade is entitles you to a bonus.
No, it should be like a season in review. Like
yes.
I mean, maybe they do that right now, but they need to be doing a lot better.
Well, and the thing is, they do it, but I don't think it affects their salaries enough if it does at all. Like, there has to be a very clear, and it should be transparent. The players should be able to see it. Fans should be able to see it.
mm-hmm.
These are the scores of your officiating team. It shouldn't be something they're shoving down everyone's throat. But if we want to be able to see it, we should be able to see it.
It should be available. Right.
It should be available.
Like the transparency should be there.
Like, if we can see all the fouls the coaches get and the players get and all of those things, there needs to be transparency both sides. And I think that's part of why it always gets so like heated with the players, because like, what recourse do you have? You don't have any after the game's already been finished and the play's already been called. all you get is an apology over, but the stat is going to live on forever that you lost that game. Like that doesn't go away. And like, I don't get me wrong. I did think to myself, okay, Braun, you're 13th in the West. This is an Eastern Conference team. This game does not matter.
The way he cried made it worse.
My dad texted us about it and was like, he deserves an Academy Award. I'm like, yeah.
But like, really, this game doesn't matter at all. At all.
No.
In terms of LeBron James and the Lakers season. Sorry?
It's Lakers Celtics. Of course it matters.
I mean, you're right. There is the whole, we have the most rings, blah, 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 blah. I get it. But like that reaction was just as extra as you expect.
I wanted to kick
from Mr. Taco Tuesday himself.
That guy tried to buy that, tried to trademark that. And I wanted to
that is so rude.
I
wanted to kick him in the shins and push him down a staircase.
You know what frustrated me about it the most is that, like, as a Black community, we have people like Paula Deen, who is like this white lady that got famous for Southern cooking, and that is irksome to us. So, like, for him to be a Black man and going after Taco Tuesday, which is a very real part of another culture's identity, just felt extra gross to me. Because that's a thing that exists among us.
Right.
Taco Tuesdays kind of followed him, at least in Mexico. Only a little bit. It's more of the Tex-Mex kind of thing. But you are right with it. With the
also, just anything with tacos, I'm like, that's not yours.
No, yes, exactly.
It's not yours.
Like, Taco Tuesday, anything taco related. Straight tacos, the regular, or the crunchy tacos, the Doritos Locos tacos.
Like there's a few things that have no ambiguity of where the world has to thank for them.
Right. And tacos is definitely
one of those things.
Tacos. But you know where you can't get tacos? An NBA game where the refs do some shady do some real shady stuff.
Taco embargo.
That's what it should really be called right now. That's what this conspiracy is with it. All right. Well, wow, we got a lot of stuff in today, which is great considering how much time it's been since our last episode. But I'm totally fine with how well we were able to get with this today. So on that note, I think we're going to swing it over to our fast break where I come up with 3 questions that Shay and Jay have zero knowledge of, and I'm going to see if they can get it right for once. Oh,
probably not. I'm just kidding. That was me.
I've got some hard ones.
No, you have.
I would like.
You have. Okay, so first one. Luka has 4 50-point games in one season by this point. How many players have also had that same record by this point?
4 50-point games before the All-Star break. Wow.
Jade, what do you think? How many players?
Plus minus 3.5 minus.
Minus. Okay, plus minus 3. Jade.
You mean Shay?
Shay. Yeah, sorry.
I know that the A's in our names are never easy.
And I talk.
It's weird because they don't rhyme, but they still sound similar.
Yeah.
I'm also just bad.
Okay, repeat it again because okay.
So Luka has 4 50-point games so far this season before All-Star break.
Okay.
How many players share that record over under 3? Or 3, whichever one you want to do.
I was gonna go with 3.
Okay.
Or under.
It is actually 3 on the dot. The players are Kobe, Jordan, our beloved James Harden, which I'm sure he had 25 free throws in. So
right.
Sure. But honestly, you say that list, and it's not surprising at all.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Not even a little bit. But like, wow, Luka. Anytime there's a Dallas game on, I don't even care. I'm watching it if he's playing because he is so entertaining.
So good.
Taylor, we
It's-
can hardly see you in the dark.
I know.
Yeah. Where'd you
What is
go?
happening?
It's Minnesota in the winter. The sun falls real quick.
I'm in Canada in the winter. I turned on lights.
Exactly. I'm like,
No,
Shay's
we've already
just
gone
as
over
far.
this. I'm farther north than all y'all.
Uh-huh.
yeah, whatever.
All right. So, question 2. Shay, how many teams has Chauncey Billups played for? Over, under 5.
Under 4.
Jade?
Over. I want to say 7.
Billups has played for. We got that 17's life.
Yes.
Ah, I don't know why I thought it was so few.
As soon as you said Chauncey, I'm like, I have a chance. I have
Well-
a chance at this one.
I will give you credit, Shay. He only had real big careers for only a couple of
Yes.
teams. So
Okay.
He was one of those guys that was in so many places that were just not the right place for him.
and at the wrong time. Yeah.
And at
so
the wrong time, yeah.
he was drafted by Boston. He Raptors played for the
Mhm.
Raptors for a split
Sure
second.
did.
2 separate stints in Denver, Detroit, obviously, where he
Mhm.
won its title, New York, and as a Clipper. So I think he retired in New York. But yes, so there's that. Okay, and right now, TJ McConnell on the Pacers is shooting the 50-40-90 right now. So 50% from the field, 40% from deep, 90% from the free throw line. Who was the last Pacers player to do this?
The last Pacer
Jade?
had to be Reggie.
Shay?
I don't know the Pacers that well other than Reggie. So
That was
Like,
part of my answer as well.
Paul George? You think Paul George? You could even think of like Sabonis.
I
even
was trying to think of someone later than Paul George, but I'll go with Paul George. Okay, you're right. You're right.
I didn't even remember Paul George ever played for the Pacers. Like,
hard, I
I
know.
don't even remember that.
Tis Reggie Miller.
Yes.
See, I knew it wasn't Paul George. I knew it was later. I'm not
That one was
silly.
That one was a last second stat muse before I went on.
I gotta
And like
think
I
about
said before, for any hardcourt honey or hunk, if you want to be involved with the fast break questions, check out the Stat Muse Twitter page because that's where I can get a couple of the things. So
And I would just like to point out that after Taylor chirped this, I went 3 for 3 on the fast break this week. Thank you very much.
You
true,
did.
true.
Did.
We'll have
I think that's the first time that's ever happened. I'm sure it's
we'll
the
have
first
to
time.
figure out this issue next week. I'll have to figure out that problem because that shouldn't be happening. All right. Well, on that note, hunks and honeys, it's been great being back, seeing you guys, watching us get all the rust off. It's been wonderful. It's been chaotic. It's been fun. On that note, I'm going to give ourselves a bit of a peace out. So see y'all later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.